Well, hey there team, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to Worth It Then, Worth It Now, a side project that I run over here on this channel where I have a look at some games from yesteryear. They're not contemporary or new releases or anything like that, but they're games that I personally want to go back and shout out and give another look under the spotlight, and as best as I can I line them up with a sale too. And that's no exception here. We're looking at Aliens Dark Descent. Can't believe it's been, 2 years now already. This game's on a reasonably deep sale at the moment as part of Focus putting everything in their catalogue on sale, so we're covering a bunch of different titles from them at the moment. Let me just say this plainly. I'm a nut of an Alien fan. I actually really hold the first 4 movies fairly near and dear to my heart, especially the first 3, and of course the first 2. And everyone, look, is going to draw their yardstick in the sand somewhere different. I get that. But suffice to say, I'm a huge Alien fan. I grew up with it, and it just breaks my heart with Romulus and Alien Earth and just the absolute shovelware garbage that is getting put out these days under the banner. All of this is to say that while Alien Isolation is probably the best Alien video game, or rather it's the best video game of, let's say, the first movie in a way, then Aliens Dark Descent would easily be the best version of a video game for the second movie. It's so good. And yeah, look, it got a lot of fanfare. I think it got reasonable reception, but I would love if it was a little bit more recognized in the mainstream. So yeah, suffice to say, I think it's excellent. If you're an Alien fan and you have never played this, you should drop everything and pick it up now. Published by Focus Entertainment, which we covered. But interestingly, the developer is Tinderloss Interactive, who are probably most well known for their Battlefleet Gothic series, which is actually a pretty cool space battle setting, and it's, it's in 40k. So again, another established franchise handled perfectly. So I would say you probably couldn't have put it in more capable hands. And just dipping back into it and starting up again for some B-roll, it just boggles my mind how good it is, again, compared to a lot of the slop that we're getting with the Alien brand on it on television and movies. Not one word is wasted in all of the dialogue and setup in this, and I don't want to spoil it too much, but you're playing as a bit of a lady boss chick. She's an administrator for a Weyland-Yutani base, so a little bit of a different twist on it. And they actually kind of establish early that she's sort of burnt a few bridges with people because she does run it a bit too strict. But she's competent and not in a daydream Karen Power fantasy kind of way. It's like she's a likable character. I like her. And so quickly we have this outbreak in essentially facilities orbiting a planet called Lethe. There are multiple ships in orbit at the time. A containment gets thrown up. She has to make some hard decisions in the prologue already. And then before you know it, you're dealing with an alien outbreak, and it is very much hitting all the nostalgia points that you'd want from the second Alien movie, all through the lens of this kind of hybrid XCOM type game between base management on the one hand and then deployments where it's sort of action RTS. You kind of control a blob of Marines, like you'll have a 4-man Marine squad and they move together and they fire together automatically. It's kind of like cannon fodder, if you could remember that from the Mega Drive. And you sort of have skill shot abilities, like one of the early ones is suppressing fire. And that will use up like a currency, an ammunition currency, and you'll be able to lock out an arc where your dude just basically mag dumps, but he puts a speed debuff penalty on a corridor that, you put the area of effect over. Meanwhile, the rest of your dudes, there's all these stat lines on the damage that they do, their fire rate, the ammo that they go through, and they pretty much auto battle in a way. So when you're deployed, and especially, the first sort of act or half of the game, the first environment is exceptionally good because it's pretty much a Hadley's Hope planetary settlement, rain slick area and all. And you're just moving around trying to progress the story, solve mysteries, help people out, do side quests, that sort of thing. It's kind of a long contiguous run where you will potentially do multiple runs back to that same map. So it's quite gigantic with lots of different bits and pieces and moving parts to it, and going on away sessions until your Marines are too injured, tired, out of ammo, that sort of thing, and then you'll bring them back to the mothership. So you do multiple forays into the same map until you clear it. As the game goes along and in the later acts, it gets a little bit more on rails, linear, tighter, I guess, but at that point you're already well and truly invested in the narrative that, you know, you're along for the ride. We actually did a playthrough of this on my main channel right when it came out, being that I'm such an Aliens fan, and I really enjoyed it, and people seem to still like watching that to this day. So if you're not totally sold, you can always go check that out. And it strikes a really good balance between cat and mousing with the enemy. The aliens are sort of built on a system, right? They have these ingress points, these hive openings that you can't really permanently disable. And it will occasionally spit aliens out and they'll patrol around the level. And you're kind of trying to avoid contacting them. Like when contact goes off, you know, the music kicks in and you're reenacting all the action parts of your favorite movies, and the dudes will start auto firing and all that, but the aliens will just start converging on your position and throwing out reinforcements. And as long as you're in this heightened alert state, it progresses the intensity and hostility of the aliens. They have like a bar that they track in the top right corner, and it also stresses, you know, almost like HP draining kind of way. It stresses your units out, and so you need to manage that along with health. So when you fight, you got to fight, but generally speaking, it's a fighting retreat. You're trying to avoid letting them get acid splashed on you or box you in, or really know where you are and try and shake out, if only to stop that progress meter happening, because it will hit points where the enemy will spit out waves to hunt you down. And the idea is that you explore and you cat and mouse for as long as you kind of can, but it will become untenable. And at that point, that's where you sort of fall back to the APC and you extract so you can reset it on the following day. And that's how the base management operates, is days go by and you go to the different facilities, you know, the medical or engineering, and you do your little busy work managing your base, buying upgrades, treating injured Marines, that sort of thing. Again, like I said, XCOM-like. Anyway, it's excellent. It's got a really good story. It's got these cool cutscenes. It all still looks like $1 million. There's an art style which is a little bit puppety, exaggerated, but only a touch of it. A lot of sharp lines on cheekbones and that, and it's quite unique actually, but it works really well. It's not hard caricature or cartoon either. I just think all around it's a really good product, and it's just so true to the source material for the most part that I would say it's worth revisiting now, absolutely. And if you're only just really discovering it now, it's worth dropping everything to get around it, especially if you're an Alien fan. Anyway, Aliens Dark Descent, absolute banger. Pick it up on sale. Team, much just leave it there for the time being, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.